Good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing? This is Amanda. I do hope that you're well. Today is the 17th of November, and I'm going to be bringing through some messages from Spirit and the animal kingdom in particular today for mid-November and going forward, all right? I already know that some of the messages are going to be centered around the energy of self-defense, power, confidence. We probably are going to be touching on the solar plexus energy again. But over and above that, I'm not sure quite where this reading is going to go. We'll see how Spirit where it wants to take it. But I'm going to start with what I do know and the first message, which is linked into a particular power animal that's coming forward to help us at this time. It arrived quite unexpectedly in my home, and by that I mean energetically. About a week ago, I received a parcel from one of you, thank you very much, in Italy. I won't say your name, just in case you don't want your name broadcast, but you know who you are. And within this parcel was some dried flowers, herbs, olive oil, very beautiful to receive, thank you. But also this. Now, some of you will instantly know what this is, and some of you might be like me, which is like, well, I recognise it, but I don't really know what it is or where it's from. It's actually a porcupine quill, and it is very, very sharp at the end of it. The thing about porcupines, though, is they never have any poison or venom on the end of their quills. But it is something that the creature uses to defend itself when it feels maybe threatened or under attack or for whatever other reason, okay? Now, the animal looks like this. And before I show you the picture, I'm just going to explain this because I've actually got in my possession, in fact, I've had in my possession since I think March of this year, these. Now, I've not shown you these because I have been all hands on deck trying to finish the Christ Consciousness deck, which is now finished and due out next year. But this is probably the next deck that I'm going to be doing. And I was, it's already done, the art is already done. Again, I don't know whether it's okay to say your name. I sent you an email this morning, but I haven't heard back yet. So if you reply and it's okay to say your name, I'll put your name in the description box below. But as of now, 20 past 12, you haven't replied. So this artist sent me these 80 pictures that she's drawn herself of animals. And the idea is it's going to be a divine animal wisdom oracle deck, okay? And my job would be to put it all together, write the book that goes with it, tweak it, of course, put my own little bit of magic onto it, hopefully. So this might very well be my third deck, but it won't be available next year. So the publisher doesn't even know about it. Anyway, that's why I'm showing you this. It's been sat in my room since March. And when the porcupine quill arrived, I thought, I bet I know which deck porcupine is in. And yes, it is. It's in here. So let's pull out the porcupine illustration. This is what it looks like. Hopefully you can see that. The camera's not blurring it or anything. These are laminated cards, by the way. Okay, so obviously this is just like a prototype deck. So porcupine. It says porcupine is to do with the energy of self-defense and confidence. Sometimes apparently they're mistaken for like a hedgehog, but they're not a hedgehog, according to Ted Andrews. They are their own animal in their own right. But that's what it looks like. And obviously they've got all of these quills. Now, again, going to the Ted Andrews book, which some of you will have, Animals Speak. What I love is it says porcupines are rather good-natured and they shuffle along at their own pace. How many of us can resonate with that? I certainly can. We shuffle along at our own pace. Sometimes we go fast, sometimes we just slow down to a complete halt. But ultimately the teaching here is to go at your own pace in all seriousness. It also says, although they look clumsy and slow on the ground, they're actually excellent climbers and they can climb 50 to 60 feet. Not bad for a little animal, hey? I'm also pulling out these points from the book. It says that ultimately the porcupine is teaching us or to remind us to try to have a good nature, because it seems to enjoy just about anything that it does. Also has a very strong sense of curiosity, and seems amazed and filled with wonder at most things that it encounters. How many of us can say that we are filled with a childlike sense of wonder and curiosity every day? Maybe not all of us, certainly not every day of every year, but really the teaching of porcupine is asking us to do that. And sometimes it's also linked into the energy of the inner child as well, because it has a playful type quality to it, this curiosity. So again, with the world very serious, very heavy at the moment, you know, every day we seem to be waking up to something else that's happening, whether that be environmental, economic, politically, war, etc. It's a difficult time at the moment on planet Earth. And it's very easy just to put the inner child and her wants or his wants onto the back burner. And it's like, there's no time for play. It's, you know, this is serious. We've just got to, you know, push on through. And although that's true to a degree, we mustn't ever lose that curious, playful spark that actually exists within us and can help us actually to do the chores and the responsibilities and the duties that we face on a day-to-day basis. It also says here that when porcupine shows up in your life, it's time to take a look at when porcupine shows up, take a look at your life. Are you allowing other people's opinions to prevent you from exploring activities that could otherwise be fun and enjoyable? I think that is very true for a lot of us. We don't do certain things, or we don't try certain things because, I don't know, what would people say, that type of thing. I mean, at a very basic level, if I just take my camera over here to show you something. This is an example of doing something that makes your inner child feel alive again and to have a bit of fun. So if we just go for a little walk around my room, next Friday we've got the office party. We're having a Christmas dinner and we're going to an ABBA tribute. And I have bought myself these rather fancy, you see, sparkly dresses. Okay, I've never worn a sequin dress in my whole life, and right now I got three to choose on. One is this beautiful sort of magenta, this one is pale pink, and this one is another red. You see, they're different shades of the same spectrum, really. I've also got a red velvet dress, but I'll probably keep that for Christmas Day, but I'm going to wear one of these red sparkly dresses. Even though I'm the age I am, and probably my mother would say I'm too old to do it, but you know, my inner child is just like full of like, yes, I want to dress up, I want to do it. So I'm not going to keep all of them, but I'm going to keep one of them. And that's just an example. It's like, don't... explore other aspects of your being, explore other aspects of your personality, allow your inner child to have a little bit of fun. Maybe I'll come on in one of those dresses for the Christmas video, whatever that's going to be. Anyway, back to porcupine. Also, very good at helping to showing you how to resist the barbs of others. So this ties into the fact that the porcupine obviously has got spikes, which are quite painful. And according to the lady that sent me it says here that the only time that the quills go into action is in the face of danger or threat. And that's when the porcupine, what it does is it draws itself up into a little ball, coils itself up, it then extends its quills in all directions, and anything that tries to get a bite gets a very painful lesson. But remember, there's no poison on the end. So this is absolutely about self-defense, and also maybe upping our protection a little bit during these days. So all of that just from this one little animal. Okay, I think before moving on, I'm going to pull another card from this deck, this prototype deck, and then we'll move on to some other cards as well. Because I've also got some messages from Mother Earth to deliver today as well. Right. For the people watching, mid-November, starfish. Starfish. Another animal, oh, sorry, hold on. Another animal that is about reaching out, extending out. Here we've got the starfish with its arms. Now, the lady that's created this deck has done so from some of the inspiration, has also come from watching some of my videos. And she said that sometimes she'd watch a video and then she'd be drawn to a particular animal and she'd put it into the deck. Now, she's not in the room for me to ask this, but I suspect that this starfish might have been prompted by something that I saw a couple of years ago and I documented. It was when we were birthing the Mary Magdalene spray. I've told you this story a couple of times. I went down to the sea and it's the only time I've ever seen it. There were about 8 starfish that had been washed up onto the shore and somebody hadn't known what to do with them because it's not a common sight round here. Literally, it's the only time I've ever seen starfish and I live right by the sea. On this particular day, linked to Mary Magdalene, there were 8 and somebody had put them on the wooden groin. Rightly or wrongly, they'd just left them there because they didn't know what to do with them. But it's interesting because this card talks about inspiration and regeneration of divine love. And it literally is, it's almost as though this expression of the divine feminine energy, divine love on the horizon, wanting to come into our world, it's like they washed up and nobody knew what to do with them. They were just left there. Now, that was 2 years ago. Now, hopefully it would be different. And it feels as though the starfish is coming forward to remind us, number 1, of our multidimensionality. Number 2, the importance of branching out, doing different things. Think about what you can do that's different, showing a different aspect of your personality, etc. But also the search for divine love. It's so interesting, isn't it, that the porcupine, even though it's got this very sharp, I mean, that would really, really hurt if you landed it on that. It doesn't wish to actually hurt. It's just there for self-defense. So that's rather lovely. Let's have one more card to make it a 3 from this deck. So I'm getting distracted by my dresses. Let me just put that to one side. Stop thinking about your sparkly sequins. You see, but that's the whole point. It's like, because my inner child doesn't want to stop thinking about my sparkly sequins. It's like, no, get them on. I've actually had them in my office for the last 3 days. And I'm like, oh God. My adult self is like, oh God, I don't want to try them on because if they look really terrible and they don't fit or, I'm going to be so depressed. And then my inner child's just like, oh, stop it. Just try them on and have some fun and get some heels on and all of that. That's sort of the energy that we need. Right. But I'll just ask my inner child just to cool it a little bit. Can you just cool it? We are going to try those dresses on this afternoon. Okay. Right, she's happy with that. Right. For the people watching, November, midterm, we have the crow. Yeah, the crow. Magic and mysteries of the universe, labradorite energy. Aren't the cards beautiful? More than anything, I think I just want to show you the cards today. The energy of crow. Okay. What goes with the energy of crow? Obviously, crow medicine is something I've been referring to in a few videos recently. And, sorry, these are laminated and there's 80 of them, so they're actually really quite hard to shuffle at the moment. Wouldn't be like this, obviously, when they were published. Let me just try again. Why have we got the crow showing up here? In this reading, why have we got the crow showing up for mid-November? The wolf, guidance and protection, teacher, yeah. So crow is often, associated, isn't it, with elders, particularly the elder woman, the crone energy, and the keeper of the ancient wisdom, the magic, the mysteries, and she holds it and owns it and shares it. but it feels as though there's a lot of wolves out there at the moment. You know, there's a lot of wolves. There's a lot of people who are wolves in sheep's clothing, is what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing. But we are being told to... We're being told to ramp up our protection. I mean, come on, there's 2 cards here. This one's about self-defense and this one's about protection. So it's like the wise old crow sees everything. The wise old crow sees everything. There's also something going on with the crows, though. I mean, I've been... How many times this year have I been saying that the birds are behaving weirdly? Very weirdly. I live by the sea. In the summer, I was noticing the seagulls. They were behaving randomly and not as normal. And right now, it's the crows round my house. And I think this is linked into the climate. I think it's linked into the environment. It's what's going on with nature. Because usually, you know, when you see birds pecking at the ground, I mean, that's a normal thing to see, but what I'm experiencing in my back garden, I've actually had to put a scarecrow in my back garden, as mad as that sounds. When I say a scarecrow, it's actually one of those big orange hoppity space hoppers. It's not very sophisticated. But the point is, I had to do that because the crows were coming down onto my lawn. They weren't just taking out a little worm here and there. They were literally pulling off great big clods of the grass. It literally looks like a football pitch. It looks like Bella has dug it up like she did when she was a puppy. It's the crows. They were making so much damage to the lawn. I guess that's linked into the fact that the grass is damaged maybe from the dry summer or something, but I don't know, that it's really noticeable. It's really weird. Is anybody else noticing the crows doing weird things? I've actually had to protect the grass. You see, this is what I'm trying to say, back to protection. I've had to protect the grass from the crows as well. So, okay, all this stuff about protection and self-defense, where does that sit within your body? We all know there are many different protection techniques you can do, whether it's the armour of God, whether it's surrounding yourself with the gold ray of Christ, whether it's asking Archangel Michael to surround you in his blue cloak, etc., crystals, sprays, all the rest of it. But ultimately, go to your power centre, go to the solar plexus. Look at the level of light that is there. Because the truth is, when our light is a little bit diminished within the solar plexus, we lay ourselves a little bit more open and are more easier. It's easier for attack energy to come in, basically, or just lower energy. You know, it can just be somebody's uncalled for or thoughtless comment that maybe they mean nothing by, you know, just in day-to-day life, but you take it to heart and you nurse it, and then it becomes quite, you know, toxic. And it's interesting because I think I read somewhere in the Ted Andrews book that porcupine, well, I suppose it's obvious, if you got one of these stuck in you and obviously you didn't then take it out, it would become like a toxic wound within the body. It would get all pussy and yucky, you know. So there's this thing also about people's barbed comments that come at you. Don't let them stay within you. It's literally as though you've got to ask the angels, for example. I work with the angelic kingdom, so you can ask Michael just to come and take the spear out. Take the spear out. Lots of people being stabbed in the back, metaphorically at the moment as well. A lot of betrayals. I'm hearing the word blackmail as well. That's not normally a word that I ever hear. So that must be linked into somebody that's watching me, somebody being blackmailed maybe. But again, that doesn't have to be in a very sort of, you know, movie type situation. It can just be, I'm hearing it's more linked into friendship. It's the type of thing where you tell somebody something, you maybe share a confidence with somebody because you feel safe with that person, okay? And they're a friend or they're a colleague or they're an ally. And then something goes awry in the connection or the relationship, or maybe there's just a difference in dimensional frequency. And it's just like, yeah, but they're the holders of your secrets. And it's like it's an energy of like they've got one over on you. Don't allow that energy to dominate, because if you allow that energy to dominate and fester, it becomes something. You just need to step out of the energy of fear, really, is what we're talking about, isn't it? It's stepping out of the energy of fear and what could happen and dealing with whatever arises, whatever the barb is, whatever the comment is, whatever the action is, taking decisive action very, very quickly and very cleanly. Okay. Right, 4 animal cards out here. Let's just do a 5. Let's just do a 5th. As hopefully we're moving towards the 5th dimension. 5th card for the people watching. Let me just try and shuffle these. Do you like the idea of an animal deck done by me and this lady? I think it could be nice. It would be nice to have a shamanic offering within my offering. Okay, that one's just shot out. What was it? The gorilla. Oh, I love that. That's, to be honest, quite a personal little message for me as well. Because I was saying, would it be nice to have an animal deck, you know, linked to my name? And what you might not know about me is the gorilla is my favourite ever creature. In fact, you see, that's a yes. That's a yes from Spirit. Do the deck. Look, on my floor here, I'll just cover up my address, but this arrived in the post yesterday because I support the gorillas. So yeah, they're asking for a little bit more help, but it's the gorilla organisation. They're actually a really good organisation, and what I like about these people, let me open up the envelope on air, is that they don't send you loads of awful, terrible stories about, you know, which just make you despair. They send you messages of hope. They send you messages of hope. The gorilla organisation. Right. Shout out to the gorilla organisation. I'm going to make a donation to that after this video. But anyway, look, we've got gorilla. Strength with wisdom and quiet honour. Look at him. Beautiful silverback. I think it's one of the well, there's a few animals that have made me really cry, but the gorillas really affect me. I just find them so, I don't know what it is about them, but so here, gorilla energy is coming forward, and it's to do with us finding inner strength, knowing our wisdom, and quiet honour. So imagine that, all of these barbs that come your way, the little, you know, gossip and all the rest of it, all that energy that can be around us. And do you think the silverback's bothered by any of that? It's literally like an energy of just like, be like the silverback, okay? Be like the silverback. Have that quiet honour. Wow. So aren't they lovely cards? Before I move on, I'll just show you the 5 that we've got here. We've got crow, we've got gorilla, we've got porcupine, we've got wolf, and we've got starfish. Lovely. Right, I'm going to close my window because we've got more roadworks outside, and then we'll pull the next set of cards. Hold on. Part 2. I've actually had a longer break, so it's about 3:30 in the afternoon now. I've had my lunch, I've done a shop. I'm now sitting back down here because I wanted to bring through some messages also from Mother Earth. But before we do that, a final message from the animal kingdom. I noticed that after talking about the gorilla, on the top of the deck there was this, and it just feels so appropriate to show it as well, because we were talking about, it's like all creatures great and small. The biggest, or one of the biggest, one of the smallest. All animals having some sort of message to bring to us at this time. If we can just open our ears and our eyes and our hearts to hear them. So the field mouse is about attention to detail and being aware of our surroundings. I will obviously expand on these meanings in the book if this deck goes ahead. But yeah, it feels to me as though that's also tied into safety and self-defense also, because it feels as though that little mouse knows when it's safe to scurry across the field and when it has to stay closer to home or where it feels safe. It knows when the predators are out and when they are not. It's also a master of its surroundings, understanding the different cycles and the seasons. And it's just really a nod to the diversity of the animal kingdom, I think, these 2 cards in particular. Well, all of them. I mean, starfish as well. But the diversity of the animal kingdom and all that they have to teach us. Okay. Right, now let's move on now to Mother Earth. And I'm going to use, again, another special deck. This one is actually, well, I don't know if it's still in publication. It was actually sent to me by somebody in Australia who had been gifted this when a friend passed over. It was one of her decks, the person who's passed to spirit. So it feels as though I'm a bit of a gatekeeper, really, for this deck. And let's see what it wants to say. It's the Dreamtime Reading Cards by Laura Brown, and it is an Australian themed or energy deck. So let's bring in some energy from that part of the world. So Mother Earth, for the whole Earth, mid-November, what do we need to hear? And we've got the energy of bushfire and rebirth. Well, hopefully that is not a precursor to any bushfires that are going to be breaking out this summer in Australia or in other parts of the world. But equally, we can't bury our head in the sand. We understand that this is happening across our world. Let me just stop for one moment and just acknowledge the weather patterns that are ongoing at this time. We've also got the energy of campfire and storyteller, because I'm feeling as though what we are going through at the moment as a world, there will be stories to tell for future generations of what we witnessed, what we saw, what we survived, what we endured. And I feel as though it's going to go down as a really important chapter in Earth's history. I live by the sea on the south coast of England. I've lived here for over 20 years now. I'm British, so I've lived here my whole life, and I'm used to the changing seasons, and I understand that things can fluctuate. But over the last couple of weeks, it's dry today, it's a beautiful day today, but the number of graded storm warnings just coming back to back, incessant rain like I don't remember seeing in my childhood, certainly. I actually woke up a couple of days ago to yet more of this rain and the gales and the shaking of the house, and I actually felt a little bit spooked by it. And I had to really align back to my higher self and remind myself, as I've said in previous videos, that Mother Earth is not trying to harm us or scare us. But actually, put it this way, some of the rain that's been falling recently doesn't feel friendly. And what I mean by that is I've channeled in the past, and I've said repeatedly, I think it was Prince, we were talking about codes and Ashtar, codes coming down in the water, in the rain, being out in that beautiful weather. Rain can be beautiful, soaking in the codes, being cleansed by it. But there was no part of me that wanted to go out in that rain. And it was nothing to do with not wanting to be wet. There was a feeling with it which was angry. That's the only way I can describe it. Angry weather. So whether it's a lot of rain or whether it's a lot of fire, these are stories that we are going to be telling. And again, the energy of community around the campfire, coming together during these times. But ultimately, it's a story of rebirth, because we know when there is a fire, for example, in the forest eventually bounces back. But, it's not a pleasant experience for anybody or any animal to go through whilst it's raging, any more than the floods are welcomed by, the creatures. Imagine the little field mouse out in a flooded field. Imagine the gorilla on a mountainside that's in flames. I know we don't want to imagine that, but I'm just trying to make us really understand that we are all one, and that we are all going through this great shift and awakening of our planet. And as I said in the video a couple of videos back, the pole shift one, I wasn't talking about a complete pole shift, I was talking about shifting of the poles, which is already happening. It's going to bring in great changes to our world in terms of the environment, the seasons, the elements. And we think of it as being something that just affects the human race, but of course it doesn't. It affects every creature, high and low, not in terms of hierarchy of importance, more in terms of just the whole diversity. So that's what I'm picking up from those two cards. Let's now pull another two. So messages for mid-November. Clarification, please, in terms of bushfire. Suddenly gone so quiet. The freshwater turtle versatility. That we are going to have to become more versatile as a species to adapt to these changing conditions. I just want to have a little look at the book in terms of what it says about this particular card, 15, because it feels as though there's something I'm not quite seeing or getting. So it says the freshwater turtle survives in two very different elements. It needs water to live in and air to breathe. There are many different species of freshwater turtles, ranging from very small species to larger ones. The turtle carries its home on its back, and it can retreat inside any time it needs to do so. It says no one will ever feel comfortable in every environment. Everyone has an environment that he or she is best suited to, but the turtle encourages you to find what you need to be able to thrive in whatever environment you find yourself in right now. Remember to breathe deeply and to find your inner safe place before venturing out of your shell. You may have to change the way that you do things or be willing to experience new things, but you will adapt and move forward. So, I mean, that's a very clear message, isn't it? Particularly linked into what I've just been talking about. That our environment is changing, and we don't need to get into an argument in terms of why it just is. So the wise amongst us needs to be able to be with what the present day situation is. You know, even this talk of, which I just mentioned, of the way it used to be, you know, this is November, it's still really warm. I think it's about to get a bit cooler, but it's not the Novembers that I remember. But this is the November that we've got. It's the present moment. We have to be in this present moment. We have to adapt. And the thing about the home being within ourselves, of course, is what it's trying to teach. One more card, please, here for mid-November. For this very moment, let me just ask for this very moment, what is the message, please, for this very moment, for the people watching, for this very moment? We have the night sky and soul journey. You're reminded that what we are going through now as a world, as a people, as a collective, and you individually and your families, is part of our soul journey. It's a collective soul journey. It's not being done to us. It is a consequence of collective actions that came together to write the narrative that we're now living in. Because the truth is that if we change the inner narrative within ourselves about anything, and if enough of us did it, the world would look very different tomorrow. So we are what we have weaved, is what I'm hearing. We are what we have weaved. And as I always say at this juncture, because I can hear the comments coming back at me, oh, but it's them that have done it. They, whoever they are only a reflection of what's within us. But it's just whether it's our ego that has gone unchecked, whether it's our selfishness that has gone unchecked, whether it's our material desire for more and more and more that has gone unchecked, whether it's us, our craving for power and domination that has gone unchecked. And you might say, how can you compare the power and domination, for example, of a leader who maybe hasn't got the world's best interests at heart with me? And I would say to you at that junction, still look at yourself in the mirror, because there may very well be a pattern within a relationship that you've got now or in the past where you wanted to control. And control is a very wide, big old subject. It doesn't mean that you have to be the completely domineering, aggressive partner. It might just be that I want things the way that I want them to be, and other people have to fit in around me. I won't accommodate anybody else's needs or anybody else's wants, because this is the way we do things in this household. Okay, this is the way it's always been. That is an energy of control. And then you can ramp that up and up and up until you get to a very dysfunctional place, which is manifested outward in our world. So it all starts with us. There's no escaping that. But the night sky is also a refuge, is what I'm hearing. The beauty of nature, the starlight, the moonlight. Just face the music and dance is what I'm hearing. There may be trouble ahead. That's the song I'm hearing. But when, who was that? There may be trouble. Am I just looking up? There may be trouble ahead. But while there's moonlight, there may be trouble ahead. Was it Frank Sinatra? Irving Berlin. Crikey, we're going back a bit here. Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole. Oh, brilliant. Nat King Cole, love him. Loved him. Obviously, he's not alive anymore, but I think it was Nat King Cole. Let's face the music and dance. But while there's music and moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance. It's quite interesting here. Before the fiddlers have fled, before they ask us to pay the bill, and while we still have that chance, let's face the music and dance. Soon we'll be without the moon, humming a different tune, and then there may be teardrops to shed, but while there's music and moonlight and love and romance, let's face the music and dance. Soon we'll be without the moon, humming a different tune. Well, I'm going to have to pull a card on that, aren't I? The moon's, I'm sure, not about to disappear, but let's just see. What's that about? Let me go to one of my sprays to help me with this. I'm going to use the Lavender Cosmos spray. It's an elemental spray. Okay. I don't know what moon phase it is I'm linking into, but I'm hearing void moon. This is linked into, we've just had a lunar eclipse, haven't we? When's the next lunar eclipse? It's probably not even this year. It might not even be next year. Because this thing about losing the moon, it's like the moon becoming obscured. Right, let me just tune in. Hold on a minute. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm hearing moon landings. Let's face the music and dance before the fiddlers have fled. Before they ask us to pay the bill, and while we still have that chance, let's face the music and dance. Okay, it's a frustrating answer, I know, but it's the answer I'm being given, which is that we're not meant to know yet. The moon is the holder of secrets. You can guess what the secrets are that might be revealed. It's the moon giving up her secrets. And I'm not talking about the moon isn't really the moon, any of that. I'm talking about what the moon stands for. The holder of secrets. We're going to be going through a gateway as humanity. And we're not meant to know what's on the other side of it. And it's to do with transitions. It says you have all the inner resources you need to cross whatever bridge arises on your path. And look at that. That's like the wise old woman in the moon. We know about the man in the moon. This is like the wise old woman of the moon. This is the goddess, priestess, indigenous, crone energy. It's all of that. Turning back to her. I feel as though there's an event coming. Oh God, I thought this was supposed to be like a really light-hearted little video. I think there's an event coming where the moon temporarily gets blacked out. Now, let's hope that's nothing terrible. And I don't. It's not cataclysmic. It's not the end of the world. It's nothing like that. It could be volcanic. It could even be volcanic. It could be ash that rises up. And those of us that remember a few years ago and flights were grounded and nothing could fly because there was too much ash in the air. Remember, in ancient days, they used to fear eclipses because it's like, where's the moon gone? Where has the moon gone? It's something to do with a lunar eclipse. I don't think it's the one we've just gone through. And I'm looking at my diary and I'm just thinking, when would this be? I'm not even sure it's this year, although I asked for now. Maybe it's just a heads up. Anyway, guys, I'm not going to spend any longer on that because I'm not getting any further than where I've got. The unknown is the unknown, but I'm just feeling as though the moon gives up some of her mysteries. And please, none of the stuff about, you know, the moon isn't really real and all of that. I'm just not into that. No disrespect, but please. Right, now let's just pull a final card from, yeah, let's do another card from here. How many got? 1, 2, 3, 4, got 5. I mean, you could say it could raise the question of like, were the moon landings real? I don't know. Maybe it could be that. It could be all sorts of things. Dragonfly, whatever it is, guys, we're going to get clarity. We are going to get clarity. We have the dragonfly, number 11, the gateway, illumination, dark and light. It will be revealed, whatever this is that I'm tapping into. And I am going to leave it there on a cliffhanger. Okay, those of you that watch soap operas, this would be a boom, boom, boom moment, an EastEnders moment, but I'm not going to go any further with this today. I just really wanted to come on, show you some cards, be with you for a little while, and we will regroup. Let's just pull one final card. Actually, I can't resist. What deck is this? I'm going to pull one card from the Lantern Oracle. Or another one. That was from the Lantern Oracle. Okay, one more. Distorted perceptions. Reality is rarely what we are raised to believe it is. So they're not letting us get away from this. You know, what we think is real isn't really real. Smoke and mirrors. God, it's just such a huge subject. You know, in terms of what that could be. Could be all of it. But I tell you what, every time I shuffle the deck, this is on the bottom. Women supporting women. So it says, together we can transcend our individual limitations. So it feels as though the true cementing of the divine feminine energy on earth comes in at the nick of time, just when many people face disillusionment because they've been fed a lie, basically. And many of us can hazard a guess as to what that could be. It could be linked into all aspects of life, many different aspects of life. But women come together to support women. There's fellowship there. And I mean, this could also be linked into the stuff I was channeling with regard to Lilith. You know, all of that story. The shattering of that, the shattering of what we've been told, what we've been led to believe, a woman's place in the world and where that all stemmed from. It could be linked into church. So much, my friends. So we live in extraordinary times, and remember, This card just feels central, the storyteller, that we will tell stories to our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren, and they will pass them on, regards the days we live in. These are not boring days on Mother Earth. We've had other incarnations which may very well have been quite dicey and flamboyant and or whatever, but these equal that. These equal some of the times that we've had before. And the other thing I'd like to end on, because I just want to weave it in, is that beautiful quote by Alan Rickman, who, yes, I have channeled, about stories. Many of you will know it. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful quote. It says, I'm going to leave it on this note, it's a human need to be told stories. The more we're governed by idiots and have no control over our destinies, the more we need to tell stories to each other about who we are, why we are, where we come from, and what might be possible. Thank you, Alan. Lots of love, everybody. See you soon. Take care of yourselves. I'll be back within a few days. Bye.